Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today is episode 146, Understanding Fear and Greed. Thank you for joining me back on the show. I hope all of you out there are staying safe and healthy during this horrible pandemic. On a bright side, it appears that some businesses are opening up and some of the masks are starting to come off. So that's great. But again, I hope all of you out there are staying safe and healthy, and hopefully the numbers continue to improve. Okay, for today's topic, I wanted to talk about two very important emotions. And that's fear and greed. And maybe you've heard me talk about this before, or other advisors, or just you've heard people talk about fear or greed. Now, the important point that I do want to make this morning, though, or on today's show, I guess I'm recording this in the morning, you may be watching this in the evening, but the point I wanted to make on today's show is that neither emotion is bad. I think there's a negative connotation that, oh, if you're scared, that's a bad thing, or if you're greedy, greed is bad. No, they're not. They're not bad. In fact, I've actually had a lot of training on this and a lot been coached up on it, but emotions are a good thing. Just imagine if you went through life emotionless. It would be pretty boring. You'd be like a robot or the tin can man in The Wizard of Oz, right? And that's no way to live. So emotions are good. They give you feedback to the external environment happening around you. But what's important is it's our job as humans to acknowledge, embrace those emotions, and then respond accordingly, not react, right? So it's a big difference between reacting, right? That's like you can think of like a reflex, right? Reacting very quickly, or digesting the information, embracing it, and responding with the appropriate action. Okay, so let's talk about fear first. Fear, in fact, over human, mankind, or over history, our ancestors, whatever you want to look at it, has actually served us very well. The whole fight or flight response, right? You can think back, if we were living in caves and, an animal was attacking you, fear was good. It kept you on your toes. It helped you survive, right? And so as we correlate this with investments, though, and your financial plan and retirement and the markets, we often have this anxiety or this fear because maybe we hear something on the news, or one of our colleagues tells us a scary story about losing money, or you're worried that you are going to run out of money or retirement. And so you get these external stimuli that creates these chemical responses that engages the fight or flee, chemical reactions in your body. And you think you need to go out there and do something, or that your advisor should do something, right? And so that's why it's important that you embrace the emotion and you understand that it is just a chemical response. And certainly, sometimes an action is necessary. Sometimes you need to fight or flee, and sometimes you simply need to do nothing. But that's why our clients pay us at Falcon Wealth Advisors, is that when you have this fear emotion, I want to encourage you to email, text, call, schedule a meeting with your wealth advisor at Falcon Wealth Advisors, and let's talk about it. And one thing that you'll get from our team is that we will always pull out the facts of the situation, right? We'll say, well, this is how you're invested, this is how you're diversified, or we'll pull up your financial plan, or we'll run different scenarios. Well, what if you do get a lower rate of return? Or what if, this stock doesn't do well, or this bond, or whatever, right? We can go through some scenarios with you. We can pull out certainly the facts and kind of quiet some of the noise if you did hear something on the news or from a colleague that isn't supported by facts. And we can break it down for you, and then we can help, plan an appropriate response, not a reaction, right? So again, you're not going to get that. We're not going to, sell everything, buy everything, or whatever, or throw your financial plan out the water because you may be scared, or there may be something scary happening out in the world. We're going to take that trigger, that chemical reaction, and we're going to use that as an opportunity to embrace that emotion and then pull out the facts and then respond accordingly. That's very important, but that's why you hire us at Falcon Wealth Advisors, because it can be very difficult to do this on your own, right? And so if we want to think back to the caveman days, probably worked that they had tribes of people, right? So, the guy or gal on their own in the cave, if they had this external stimuli coming at them, I'm sure at times they went crazy and they were fighting or fleeing many times. But if they had a tribe, a group together making these decisions, they could decide together as a community, or at least if they had somebody, that was a trusted, wise person in the tribe to help them make good decisions, that probably helped society advance. I could be completely wrong, right? I'm not that into history. I do appreciate it, but I don't know all the facts, obviously. But I think that's a good analogy to think about, is that, hey, Jake and his team at Falcon Wealth Advisors, they're my guides. When I have this fear emotion trigger, I have to understand that it's neither good nor bad until we pull out the facts, and then we determine what's the best course of action moving forward. Okay, so don't let it be your end all guide, though. Recognize it's a chemical reaction. It's normal, it's healthy, but I don't want you to reflex and go do something just based on this fear emotion. It's not healthy. It's not good. Otherwise, people would be running from cave to cave, instead of in their tribes making good decisions and progressing. And that's what we're looking to do. And again, I get no satisfaction out of, a fearful client, giving me a call, boldly saying something. I want to make sure that they're comfortable. And I'm always going to go back, and my team, we're always going to go back to the facts and the financial plan and the diversification and which stocks and which bonds do we own and why, and what are we doing to protect the portfolio, right? We talk about all these things, and these are things that we're doing literally on a daily basis for our clients. Okay, now fear in the marketplace hasn't been as prevalent, because even through the pandemic, we did have a temporary severe crash. I mean, the market went down 30% roughly in March of 2020. So that was very scary. The reality, though, is that it turned around and went up very quickly. So by the time people were engaged in that fear emotion, their accounts were already recovering. In fact, we did take action there. We bought for many of our clients when the market was down. So again, props to us, or whatever you want to say, but that's again us using the facts, like, whoa, these stocks are way too low. We need to go buy them because they're cheap now. They're on sale, which served us well and our clients obviously very well. But again, we didn't have time for that fear to sink in because things turned around so quickly. What has been more prevalent is greed. Now, before I talk about greed, I want to give a quick commercial here. If you're not already subscribed to our show, we'll put a little subscribe button up here. I'm very humbled. Our subscriber count seems to be growing every week. So if you're watching this on YouTube, the best way to make sure that you don't miss another episode of Upticks is to subscribe. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, a thumbs up, or be sure to subscribe on that as well. Again, that's the best way to make sure you don't miss another show of Upticks. Also, a quick plug to a couple of my business partners. Corey Bittner, he's been cranking out a show for some time now called In the Money Insight. So that's here on this YouTube channel under Falcon Wealth Advisors Collective. So that's just, if you scroll down, his show's right underneath mine. And then we have another colleague who's a little bit newer to our team, Scott, who's actually producing 2 shows. That guy is a content machine, but he's got Mental Dividends, which is financial related. I like it because he doesn't do some of the traditional topics. For example, I believe his initial episode was on cutting the cord, or getting rid of cable and going all wireless or streaming services, which is kind of cool, something different. And then he also, we've partnered up with Joshua Briscoe from 810 Sports, and we brought back Sports and Money, and Scott's leading that effort as well. So that's kind of a completely different show where they're just taking typically local, but sometimes national sports and dealing with the money behind that, which I think is pretty cool. So that's all on this YouTube channel. Again, Falcon Wealth Advisors Collective. And then each podcast kind of has its own platform, so you can subscribe to each podcast. Okay, so a quick plug on our content here. So let's talk about greed, because when the market is doing well, you start hearing these things amongst your neighbors. Oh, I made 50% in this, or I doubled my money, or I did this and that. And that's all fine and dandy. I want you to remember, though, a lot of people use hyperbole when they're talking about those things. It's human nature. And again, greed isn't bad. I think greed is a form of capitalism a little bit, right? And I don't necessarily think capitalism is bad. It's the desire to want to get ahead or to do more. I think that drives innovation, that drives growth, and ultimately drives jobs and helps everybody. I think greed used in the wrong premise though, and hurting somebody else for your own personal gain is disgusting, right? And horrible. And so I think greed used in a pure sense of just the fact of either you want to get healthier, you want to be more successful, and you want to help more people. I think those are all good things. But I think greed, again, doing it for ill will against your neighbor, awful, disgusting. So, well, let's talk about greed in your investments, right? Because there's been a lot of things going on as far as that's concerned. We've had some stocks that were formerly short squeezed. So all that means is that hedge funds were betting for them to go down. So we had this huge online community. I think it was on Reddit, all band together, and they artificially pumped up these stocks. So people that jumped on this bandwagon potentially could have made tons and tons of money. Very risky. Again, something we don't dabble in. It's very dangerous, and there's no fundamental behind that. You're gambling. The cryptocurrency, I've done a show on that before. That's gone crazy up to the roof. Here recently, it's crashed. So again, that's been going all over the place. There's this new thing out there, a newer thing called NFTs, which stand for non-fungible tokens. This is, you can think of like digital artwork that you can buy and flip these. So you could buy this at X, and then sometimes you could double your money in that. But again, very risky. And again, something we're not dabbling in either. And then on my last episode, Brandon Reed was on the show, and he brought up how used auto sales were going through the roof. So people could be potentially flipping cars, like buying a used car and then turn around and selling it, a month later or something, and turning a profit, which is crazy too. So there's all this activity going on, caused by many things. So first, there's a little bit of boredom, right? Because a lot of people have been working from home, which gives you more time to surf on the internet, read things that maybe you wouldn't have done before. So you're learning a little bit more. So individual investing activity has picked up. So the news is out there just feeding on this and pumping it out. We've had stimulus money come in, right? So certain people have gotten money hit their checking accounts that they didn't have before. So, why not gamble it? Why not go throw it on this or that and try to double my money? Because I didn't really expect to have this money anyways, right? So all these things are happening, and I'm starting to hear it a little bit more from our clients, is that this greed is starting to pop up. And again, it's not a bad thing, but I want to encourage you, just like fear, to recognize that this is a chemical reaction in your body, and you don't want to react. You want to, again, absorb it, embrace it, and then let's start pulling out some facts. So if you do have a question about cryptocurrency or NFTs or used cars or these crazy stocks that were short squeezed and now they're shooting through the roof, and you want to talk about it, let's schedule a time, and let's even have this a 30-minute call, and we can pull out some of the facts and the fundamentals behind these, and help you make an informed decision, or at least more importantly, probably help you from making a bad decision, right? You don't want to throw your financial plan out the water because you think you can go double your money on Beanie Babies. I mean, and you might be laughing when you hear me say that, but that's what greed does. So if you get this greed chemical response and you start feeding on it and giving it more energy rather than embracing it and feeling it and recognizing what it is, you can snowball this thing, and it can consume you and take you over. And you can make some very silly mistakes by doing that. Remember this, and you probably know this already, but there are no get rich quick schemes out there. Sure, people win the lottery all the time. People go to the casino and pull the handle and hit a jackpot. It does happen, right? The reality, though, is it doesn't happen to everybody. And I'm not saying it can't happen to you. I'm just saying, why in the world would you ever want to gamble your retirement nest egg? Because the stakes are high. And if you gamble and you get greedy and you get it wrong, it could mean working until your 70s or 80s. Now, some people want to work until their 70s or 80s, but it could force you into doing something that you don't want to do, all because you reacted to this chemical response instead of taking a breath, taking a step back, embracing for what it is, thanking the emotions like, wow, I feel really greedy right now. I feel like I can double my money. I better set up a time to talk with my wealth advisor and make sure what I'm doing is rational. And most importantly, it's not going to blow up my financial plan if I do decide to take action and get it wrong. And that's what we're here for, right? That's a big part of our jobs, right? So again, we're going to be this more unemotional, but we're certainly going to be empathetic to your feelings. But know that we're not going to respond on greed or fear. That's not what we're paid to do. We're paid to respond on facts, financial planning, investments, research, fundamental analysis and making sure that we're helping our clients ultimately achieve their financial goals, right? Whether that's retiring in 2 years, or maybe they're already retired and they never want to run out of money, or maybe they want to give to charity or help their kids or buy a house. Whatever that is, that's our job. And we don't want to get sidetracked by these sometimes very powerful emotions, right? So again, I want you to embrace those emotions, recognize that they're good, just like laughter and happiness and joy are good, right? Those also come and go, right? So fear and greed, recognize that it's a temporary emotion. It's going to come and go. Embrace it for what it is. Hopefully, maybe you can get some enjoyment out of the feeling. I know fear would be kind of hard. But again, enjoy it, embrace it, recognize that it's a temporary emotion. If you feel the need to do something, let's set up a call. Email me, call me, text me, your financial advisor, right? That's what we're trained to do. We'll talk about it with you. We'll pull out the facts. We'll run some scenarios in your financial plan, and we'll help you make a good informed decision. Or like I mentioned earlier, avoid a temporarily bad decision. Okay, so hopefully this has kind of opened up your eyes a little bit to understanding fear and greed. Again, they're chemical reactions in our body. They're good, they're healthy, neither are bad. So I don't want you to think that. I want you to embrace it, digest it a little bit, recognize that it's just an emotion. And if you feel the need to do something, let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. Let's pull out the facts that will help you make a good informed decision. All right, so with that, a quick plug before I go over some fun personal stuff. So again, I'm out there on social media. My social media presence continues to grow. So thank you so much for all of that. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Hopefully you're on one of those 4 platforms. If you're not, no big deal. I get it. But if you are, send me a friend request. I love, again, expanding my network and meeting new people, or certainly connecting with current clients and friends. Our team, Falcon Wealth Advisors, is also on the same 4 platforms. So on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you want to follow our company, we do company posts as well and announcements with that. As far as fun news, not a lot going on. I'm recording this the day after my birthday. I turned 40, which sounds older, but I'll tell you this much, it doesn't feel any older at all. In fact, I'm probably in some of the best shape that I've been in many, many years. I've kind of done a huge lifestyle shift over the last few years, and I eat healthier, I exercise, I meditate, I do deep breathing. So again, that's been really fun. I feel great, feel healthy. My wife, Rachel, got me some big balloons, the 40 on them, which was a nice surprise. Einstein, our pooch, which was crazy, was scared of them. Poor little guy. So we had to put him off into the dining room, we don't go in that room very often. He does, but so now he doesn't. But so we got the balloons in the dining room, temporary. Poor little guy got a little scared of the balloons. So, but we had a good time. Had a great birthday. Obviously, I'm a pretty lucky guy with Rachel and everything going on. Golf season's picking up. It's been rainy in Kansas City. It's good, healthy spring. So hopefully that kind of starts to move out of the area. I'm sure it's going to get hot and humid as it does in summer in Kansas City. But I'm looking forward to ramping up some more golf. Like I said, I hope all of you out there are staying safe and healthy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week.